Never done that before. What's up, Facebook? So you guys can listen on the phone or you can watch on Facebook. I'm going to start the recording in the tap to put a mask on and give yourself a fun look. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep the same look I have. So we're here at the IHOP, and so I'm going to go ahead and I don't want to push finish, I don't think. I just want to keep it like it is, I think. So anyway, we're going to get started. We're going to start in Genesis chapter 12. Imagine that, Myron, starting in Genesis. There I go again. All right. So everything's ready. Everything's ready. Everybody's ready. I'm going to put it in presentation mode on the phone. Go over to the recording and start the recording. Wow, I did everything except open the Bible. Now I've got to do that, and there it is. All right, so we're going to start this morning in Genesis chapter 12, and I'm really glad to have you here. Let's go ahead and begin with a word of prayer. Father, thank you for your word. Thank you that it's true. Thank you that it is truth. And I pray that you just open our eyes and help us to be encouraged by your word this morning, and bless us to be a blessing everywhere we go. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So the reason we're going into this Bible study, I was reading something in the Bible this week, and it just reminded me of how often God blesses people in spite of our imperfections. Notice how I included myself on that list. And so many people that are on this entrepreneurial journey, they think, oh man, I've messed up because I'm too old. Oh, I've messed up because I don't know how to do, and it doesn't matter what you fill in the blank with. Or I've messed up because I haven't done well financially, or I've messed up because I don't know anything about business. I think one of the things you have to realize is that, and I see we got one person watching on Facebook Live right now. So this is the first time I've ever done a Facebook Live for Bible study. So if you're on Facebook Live, go ahead and let me know who you are. I can see a couple people over there. So anyway, this is not to encourage you. I've got to make sure that I say this the right way. This teaching that I'm doing today is not to encourage you to mess up. It is to encourage you that if you feel like you've messed up, your mess isn't so great that you can't be blessed by God. That's the whole premise of this new series. And we're going to look at multiple people in Scripture. This week we're going to look at Abraham. We may look at Abraham again next week, but if not, we'll look at somebody else next week and somebody else next week. And we're going to see so many people that God used greatly in the Bible are people that messed up. So if you think that you've already blown it and it's too late for you, nothing could be further from the truth. So it says in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1, it says, "Now the Lord said unto Abraham, Get thee out from thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house into a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee. And I will make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran." Now, Abram, as his name was before his name was Abraham, Abram was living in Haran, and he was in a family of idolaters. He was in a family that worshipped idols, and in that family that worshipped idols, God said to Abram, He said, "Now I get thee out of thy country." The first thing I want you to notice Abram's name, that Abram's name is not Abraham. That's the first thing I want you to notice. And I know some of you have heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it again. Abram's name is not Abraham. Abram's name is not Abraham. It's Abram. And I want to help you understand what Abram's name means. The name Abram means high father or exalted father. And the name means high father or exalted father. And Abram's 75 years old and he doesn't have any children. Now, to people in our modern culture, we have this idea that having a family is somehow a burden. Oh, you should stay single as long as you can. Oh, yeah, you shouldn't worry about having children. Just, live your life, blah, blah, blah. And people, we look at having family in our society. We look at having a wife or having a husband or having children as being some burdensome thing. But in the Bible culture, that was not the case. In the biblical times, having children was a sign of the greatest blessing that you can have in your life. And if we understand the essence of what it means to have children, it is truly one of the greatest blessings that you can have in your life. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, there's work involved. Yeah, you're going to have to grow. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with, quote, terrible twos. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with teachers and conferences and all that stuff. And you're going to have teenagers that are going to go through their rebellious stage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But all of that helps you grow. And from God's perspective, children are the greatest blessing that you can have. Well, having somebody to care about other than just yourself is a great blessing. Having somebody to look after other than just yourself is a great blessing. Having a spouse, having a wife, having a husband, having parents that you help take care of, all of that from God's perspective is a blessing. We live in a me, I, me, my, mine, my stuff, me, my selfish society. But in biblical times, it was not that case. Abram did not have any children, and his name means high father, so he was the high father with no children. Well, that's kind of sad, right? That's like being called, hey, it's like your name being strong man and you're like wimpy. Mm-hmm. It's like your name being courageous and it's kind of like the lion on the Wizard of Oz. He's a lion. He's supposed to be a courageous, brave lion, but he didn't have any courage, right? So it's an anomaly. And Abram's name was the source of Abram's shame because he was the high father with no children. I mean, that's literally, and you have to understand in Bible times as well, names were not just what we called people, like my name's Myron, so you call me Myron, right? Lamont's name is Lamont, so we call him Lamont, and Pam's. No, it wasn't like that. In Bible times, your name was not just your title, it was also your description. So when you were called something, when you were called something that wasn't just, or when a parent named a child, they weren't just naming that child a name that they liked the sound of, but they were naming that child either after some characteristics the child had or characteristics they hoped to develop in the child as the child got older. So, the Lord said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country. So Abram's life is a mess, basically, is what I'm telling you. He's a 75-year-old man with no children. That seems pretty hopeless. I mean, and I know it's a corny joke, but I tell it all the time. It's not really a joke. But when you're 75 years old, you don't have any children, you don't spend your weekends painting the nursery, right? You don't go shopping for cribs on the weekend. You're not like, oh, what color should we paint the baby's room? No, that's not what you're doing with your weekends at 75 years old, right? So my point being, Abram felt like it was too late for him, I'm sure. There are many people, some people, no doubt on this call, who you feel like, I'm too old to start a business. Or I don't have enough experience to start a business. Or I don't have a good enough idea. I'm not smart enough to start a business. But the reality is God can bless your mess. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you this while I'm on this part. So I'm going to describe someone to you. They were born in the South in the 1900s. They were born in a segregated hospital, contracted polio as an infant. Did really, really well in school all the way through the 3rd grade. From the 4th grade through the 12th grade, school was a struggle. Barely made it out of high school, almost quit 2 weeks before graduation. Has no college degree. And even at age 55 today, I let the cat out of the bag. You already knew who I was talking about, right? So at age 55 today, reading is still hard for me. You say, Myron, why do you tell us that story? I remember, my wife is here with me right now, and I remember in 1985, we got started in our first business. We got in our car in Gary, Indiana, and we drove down to Lowell, Indiana, and we went to an opportunity meeting for A.L. Williams. I didn't know what network marketing was. I didn't know what multi-level marketing was. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. I just knew I had an opportunity to go start a business where I could make some real money. The guy that was running the office was making $10,000 a month, and he was not a good speaker. He was not particularly talented. He was a very nice guy. And but he was making $10,000 a month in 1985. $10,000 a month in 1985 was a whole lot of. That would be like $40,000 or $50,000 a month now, right? When you think about the price of gas in 1985 was probably what, 50 cents a gallon? Probably. Let's just say 50 cents a gallon. Okay. Yeah, I know you weren't driving. You probably weren't born yet, Lamont. So let's calm down. Okay. You were born. Okay. No, you weren't born yet, were you? He wasn't born yet. Oh, young people today. So anyway. So this guy's making $10,000 a month. We got started in that business knowing that we were going to get rich. But guess what? I didn't earn my first check in that company until April of 1987. And I was working. So you may think, I can't sell. I don't have any skills. I've already messed up. Well, I obviously couldn't sell. And some of you probably watch me now and you think, man, that dude can sell. Well, yeah, I can sell now. But I had to learn how to sell. And I'm telling you that because I want you to know you can learn how to sell. We got started in business in 1985. We did not have, I want you to hear me now, folks. Those of you who've been working on something for a while and you're discouraged because you think, oh, I've messed up because I don't have enough skills under my belt. It won't, by the grace of God, hopefully it won't take you as long as it took us because I didn't have us helping me. Okay, but here's what I'm going to tell you. It took us 14 years to have our first six-figure year. Now, does that sound like a long time? Does that sound like a long time? 14 years? Sounds like a long time, doesn't it? It's a long time. It's like, I don't even know if it's worth it. Well, I've got news for you. Here's what I want you to understand. If it takes you 14 years, and it shouldn't, but if it does, 14 years is going to pass whether you get to six figures or not. So you might as well just go ahead and not give up on your dream. Right? At least you have a dream. Like, even if I had never made six figures, at least I was working on something. If I had never had a six-figure or seven-figure year, or a multiple six-figure or multiple seven-figure year, if I had never done that, I'm not going to knock that over. Trust me, bro. I'm very in tune with my surroundings. Okay, but Lamont's protecting me from knocking my coffee over because I'm getting kind of animated. But I'm telling you that even if I had never gotten there, I would have been a better person for working on it than I would be by not working on it. I love what Jim Rohn said. See, one of the things you got to do is you got to get some different voices in your head than the voices of the movies that you watch and the television shows. By the way, Myron believes if you're not making at least $20,000 a month, you can't afford to watch television. Hashtag just saying. Okay? So understand that if you have been working on your business for a year and it's not exploding yet, don't give up on your dream. If you're working on your business for 5 years and it's not working yet, don't give up on your dream. If you've been working on your business for 10 years and it's not doing what you thought it would do yet out there in the marketplace, you've got to understand that what it's doing inside of you is far more important than what it's going to do outside of you ever. Jim Rohn said that the things that we are working on us. Did you hear what I just said? The things that you are working on are working on us. The things that you're working on are working on you. The things I'm working on are working on me. And I love what Jim Rohn said. He said, be sure that the things you are making something good of you. Right? Make sure that the things you're working on are doing a good work in you. So the first thing that I want you to notice in this passage, other than the fact that Abram's name is Abram, like God put him on blast, like right there. Okay. And the Lord said unto Abram, the high father, who's 75 years old, who still doesn't have any children, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house to a land that I will show thee of. That part right there shows us several things that we've got to do if God's going to bless our mess. I want you to notice that the first thing that God told Abram to do was not a commencement. He didn't tell him to commence on doing something, but he said, I want you to stop doing something. He didn't say, I want you to go somewhere. He said, I want you to leave somewhere. You say, why is that important? Because, and we talked about this when we were talking about how to be too blessed to be stressed. It's so important in our lives as we are working on the things that God put us here to do, and as we are building our business, which, by the way, is one of the things that God put us here to do. Even if you have a job, you should have a business on the side, because God, when God made man, he didn't give him a job. I mean, he gave him work to do. But he gave him an arena in which to create that called the Garden of Eden. And business is like our garden. If you don't have a business, you don't have your own garden. Anyway, it's a whole nother conversation. Oftentimes, we have to stop doing some of the things we're doing to make room for the things we got to do. Like I said, you're not making $20,000 a month. That's my number. Maybe your number needs to be $40,000 a month. Maybe your number needs to be $10,000 a month. I think really $20,000 a month is a good financial goal for everybody to get to, because $20,000 a month kind of relieves some financial pressure. You may feel like, well, that's pretty rich. Well, it's really not. If you think about the fact that you've got children that, according to the Bible, you have a responsibility to leave an inheritance to. You've got your current life that you have to pay for. And then you're going to eventually have, if you don't already, have aging parents that you're going to need to help take care of. $20,000 a month, when you start putting all those things into the equation, ain't that much. So you might want to make sure you get on this journey and get serious about this journey. It might not even be a bad idea for you to get to the place where you've got a $100,000 a month goal or a $200,000 a month goal. By the way, you say, some of you may be thinking, well, Myron, I don't think money's that important. Well, here's one thing. One of two things I know about people who say money's not that important. One, either if you'll lie about that, you'll lie about other stuff. Because if it wasn't that important, you wouldn't be spending 8 hours a day trying to get it. 8 to 12, 16 sometimes, trying to get it if it wasn't that important. Or if you think money's not that important, you just haven't wised up to how life really works yet. Because money is important. In fact, as one person said, it's right up there with oxygen. You got to have it every day to live. And when you don't have enough of it, you feel like you can't breathe. Can I get a witness up in here? Okay. So he said, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred. God's getting ready to bless Abram. This is the God of the universe. This is a real God who created everything. In Genesis chapter 1, he created everything by the word of his mouth. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God, and the same was in the beginning with God. And all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. And he goes to this guy who's worshiping idols, and he said, hey, you, I want you to leave your family of idol worshipers, because I'm going to teach you who the true and living God really is. I want you to get away from all of the people who are going to tempt you to go back to worshiping things that you created, and I'm going to teach you how to worship the one who created you. So oftentimes, before God can bless your mess, what you've got to do is you've got to stop doing what you've been doing. Yes, God's going to bless this idolater. Yes, God's going to bless this guy who is the descendant of an idol worshiper. But before God blesses him, God says, okay, you got to stop doing what you're doing. Sometimes people just can't get blessed because they won't stop doing what they're doing. Yeah, you messed up. But having messed up in the past is not a license to keep messing up in the present. And it's certainly not a license to mess up in the future. By the way, if you're on Facebook and you like this, give me some likes. Oh, wow, we got a lot of people on Facebook leaving comments. Okay, the number of people of watching your video is increasing. Oh, that's Facebook telling me that. So, hey, Marcy, I see Marcy on there, and 10 other people reacted to your video so far. So if you like it, or if you got comments, leave comments. I'll respond to them later. So sometimes stopping what you're doing is more important than starting to do something else. Did you hear what I just said? Sometimes just to have the, it's really interesting how my daughter Dee Dee has figured out, she has figured out this whole thing about if somebody wants to lose weight, if my daughter Dee Dee she has it figured out. Her and her husband, they had it figured out. And I'm going to tell you something. Working out is important. Like people say, you got to work out, you got to work out, you got to work out. But here's one of the things you got to do if you're going to lose some weight. You got to change what you eat. You got to stop eating the way you eat. Now, it doesn't mean you have to stop eating the things you eat, because you can still eat the things that you ate before and lose weight. You just have to eat them in a different way. You have to stop doing, what I'm saying is, as important as doing things in business is to be successful, stopping doing some of the things that you're doing is just as important. And one of the things I talked about is you got to stop watching television. I'm going to tell you something else. Television, one of the reasons television is so dangerous is because you got people who are making money off of your brokenness telling you your vision. Ooh, did you pick up what I just put down? It's called television programming for a reason. And that's because the people on television are programming you what to think. See, you have to understand that doubt is created in the eyes. I can't believe my eyes because my eyes tell lies. That's why the Bible says, what? We walk by faith, not by sight. Faith is created in the ears. And what's happening is you're watching things on television like CNN, constantly negative news, or Fox. They're all negative. All of it's negative. It's all, and I know there are news lovers on here. I'm just telling you, you're spending too much time watching news. In fact, you want your income to go up? Like, take a break from watching the news for a year. You say, why? Because your mind is an automatic problem-solving mechanism. You can't fill your mind with all the problems in the world and then go out and solve your own problems. You're too bogged down. Watching other people live their dreams while you're living a nightmare just doesn't make sense. There are some things you've got to stop doing if you're going to take your life to the next level. Hey, guess what? People would have a lot more time to work on their business if they stopped watching television for 4 hours at night. If you spent the 4 hours at night you spend watching television, working on your business, you'd already be rich. If you spent those 4 hours spend 2 hours learning how to sell every night and the other 2 hours selling, you would already be making more money than part-time than you're making from your job full-time. Here's what I'm saying. Just like Abram had to stop doing what he was doing so he could be blessed by God, you got to stop some of the things you're doing. I don't know why I'm on television this morning. Somebody obviously needs to hear this. Like when we get in the car, we need to stop listening to radio. I'm going to tell you something. My kids used to say when they were little, Dad, do we have to listen to this? Because I'd be listening to Jim Rohn, or I'd be listening to Brian Tracy, I'd be listening to somebody, some audio book, some audio program, some personal development. Do we have to listen to this? No, y'all don't have to listen to it. You can go to sleep if you want to. We get in the car. I said, now when you get older and you get a car, I'll ride with you and I'll listen to what you listening to. But right now, you ride with me. We're going to listen to this, right? So, and what they didn't understand was the things that I was listening to in personal development is what gave us the ability to have a car. Do you get it? Do you understand that your mind is producing? Okay, so, I'm gonna open it up for questions after this. You have 5 resources with which to generate revenue, 5 resources to make your life work. You can start at the lowest level. I'm going to start with the pinky because it's a little finger. You can start at the lowest level. You can use your muscles to make money and be an implementer. You can use your management skills to make money and be a manager or a unifier, right? Because you got implementation and unification. You can use your mouth to make money and be a communicator. Or you can use your mind and make money and be what I call an Imagineer. Ooh, I like that word. Or you can use your money to make money and be an investor. Those are the only things you have to make money. So you're either going to use your mind, your muscles. If you use your muscles, you're going to make a little bit of money. If you use your management skills, you'll make a little more. If you use your mouth, you'll make a lot more. If you use your mind, you'll make a lot more. And then you take your mind and use your money, it takes it to a whole nother level. But in order for you to do that, you've got to stop filling your mind up with so much rubbish. I'm going to give you one Bible verse to end on, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. Or one Bible passage. It's in Proverbs chapter 4, beginning with verse 24. And it says, in fact, I'm going to read it. It says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a froward mouth and perverse lips put far from thee. I'm looking for it here.
Proverbs 4:24.
Proverbs 4:24, yeah. 4:23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. The word keep there means to protect, which is really interesting that the word Garden of Eden, the word garden, it means enclosure. Eden means pleasure. So the Garden of Eden was God's protected place of pleasure for man. So God's ideal environment for man is a protected place of pleasure. God says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a froward mouth and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the paths of thine heart, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. I'll pick up there next week, but I'm just saying God says, guard your heart. Protect it. And so you got to protect your mind. When I say your heart, when it's talking about your heart, it's talking about the center, your control center. So you've got to protect your mind from allowing just anything to get in there so that you have enough mental and physical energy to accomplish the things that you desire. So I'm going to open it up for questions on Facebook. If you've got a question on Facebook, type it in. I'm going to open it up for questions on the phone. If you're on the phone side and you have a question, press *2 on your phone. Press *2 on your phone. And we got 27 people on the phone. We got 15 people on Facebook Live. What's up, Facebook? So I'm going to attempt to do this every week. I kind of liked it. Hopefully you guys liked it as well. On Facebook, let me know if that's been helpful for you. But callers, first question is coming from, hold on a second, Deborah. First question is coming from Deborah Smith in Phoenix, Arizona. So Deborah, I'm going to put it on so everybody can hear you. You're live. Talk to me. Deborah? I think your phone's muted out.
Muted.
You were muted. Go ahead.
Good morning. It's so good to see you on Facebook because it's like when I was there in the restaurant.
Hey, how cool is that, right?
I feel like I'm back there again.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, when you talk about a name, I think a lot of times, I know I did, when you go through really hard times, you end up with, not wanting to have that name. You want to take maybe your middle name or you change it to a nickname, because of the trauma, whatever you've been through is connected with it. And, I have found that God will say, you know what? After a while, he'll say, you need to get back to your name because I gave you that name for a reason. And so I had to start embracing the name of Deborah and not just letting people call me Deb or, Debbie or whatever. No, I'm Deborah. And I'll tell you, it's that Jabez thing, you have to. It's
Come
like,
on now.
yeah, maybe my name means I was born in pain, but God is restoring me, and God answered Jabez's prayer and blessed it tremendously. So I just wanted to reiterate, yes, that name is so important of what God calls us to be, and we need to embrace that.
Fantastic. Good stuff, Deborah Smith. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. And I see we got a bunch of folks on Facebook. If you got a question or comment on Facebook, you can chime in. If you're on the phone, you have a question or a comment, any question, any comment whatsoever, it's all good. Press *2 on your phone and go ahead and chime in. I'd love to hear from you this morning. I see we've got on Facebook my man Delatoro McNeil, who started this Bible study with me some almost, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't know. It's a long time ago. Almost 4 years ago. So very excited to see Delatoro McNeil the second, I almost called him the third, on Facebook. And I see Jeff Albright on Facebook. And my daughter's on there, Dee Dee. Hey, Dee Dee. I just gave you some props, Dee. Anyway, so if you're on Facebook and you got a question or comment, go ahead and say something. If you, Patria McKinney just jumped on there on the Facebook side. If you're on the phone, press *2 and I will unmute you. I see Dr. Breakthrough out of Dallas, Texas on there. You usually got something to say, bro. I know you got it. I know you got a nugget to drop on somebody. Okay, this is New Bloomfield, Pennsylvania. Okay, this is Dr. Stan right there. I just called him up, and here he is. Talk to me, brother. Oh, let me try it again.
Because I remember I said I won't pay for it. And
Can you start over? I didn't unmute you. I didn't unmute you in time. I didn't unmute you in time. I didn't unmute you in time. Can you start that whole thing over?
No. You remember we had this sermon we supposed to talk about Johnny Pope, the name above every name.
Yep.
And he talked about a guy that had a lot of power financially, but then he lost it. Do you remember that name?
Oh no, I sent you that text this morning that I didn't. No, I don't. I don't even remember that story in the sermon. Sorry.
Oh, did I lose you?
No. I said I don't even remember that. I don't even remember that. Can you hear me? Oh, I muted myself out. Yeah. Oh man. Can you hear me now? I muted myself out. I muted myself out accidentally. So that's why you couldn't hear me. But yeah, I sent you the answer to that question this morning. I texted you the answer to that question. I don't even remember the story of that actually. Sorry.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never got your text, man. But anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, powerful training, man. And so give me those all those M's you talked about, your muscles and your mind and all that.
Okay. So great question. So yeah, I was just saying you have 5 resources. It's really interesting. Okay. Anyway, before I start chasing rabbits, so we have 5 resources that we can use to make money. Yeah, indeed. So we have 5 resources that we can use to make money. So one resource we have is our muscles. And we're an implementer. We move things, you know, and implementers make the least amount of money in our society. If you think about the fact that money is nothing more than certificates of value created. So money is a certificate of the value created. God has set it up so that because money is spiritual, and I didn't go into that in great detail, but because money is spiritual, if you want to make more money, you have to operate on a higher spiritual plane. That's why people who use their muscles to make money make less money than people who use their management skills to make money. Because managing a group of people so that they get along and work harmoniously on a project is a higher spiritual plane than you just doing something by yourself. It takes more spiritual energy to do something collaboratively than it does to do something individually. And it takes spiritual energy to get along with other people because other people are different than we are, right? And then so that's management skills. That's the second one. So you can use your muscles and be an implementer, or you can use, so that's implementation. You can use your management skills and be a manager. That's unification, right? Or you can go a step higher and use your mouth and be a communicator. And one of the people think, well, communication doesn't seem that spiritual, really? So name an animal that can have a conversation. Yeah, parrots can repeat. I'm talking about name an animal that can have a conversation about time or about space or about matter. It's not even possible, right? So communication is spiritual. How do we know that? Because God is the Spirit. And in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, right? And so anyway, so we have communication is higher than unification. It's a very high level. And then the highest level is imagination, or using your mind, thinking. And what's really interesting, though, is the mouth actually influences the mind. Wow, that's so powerful. So you combine, and then the last one is your money. You can become an investor. So you can use your money to make money. And when you use your money to make money, you're really using your mind to use your money. When you can use your mouth to influence your mind. If you operate in those 3 highest levels of value, it's almost like if you operate like in serving other people in those 3 highest levels of value, it's virtually impossible over time not to get to the place where you are doing better financially than you've ever done in your life just by moving stuff around and using your muscles. So that's, and I got that whole thing from Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 11. So that's where I got that from. So but that's not that that's the only 2 places it is in the Bible, but it's a theme throughout Scripture. But that's where I picked up on it at, was in Genesis chapter 1 the first time, and then noticed it in Genesis chapter number 11 as well. So thank you, bruh, for helping me reiterate and chase that rabbit.
Well, Dr. Breakthrough says what you put in your head that affects your heart determines what comes to your hand.
That's exactly right.
If you put more coming to your hand, you're going to put more in your head that affects your heart.
Come on now. So that you are absolute.
Did you just pick up what I put down?
I just picked up what you're putting down. And guess what? I'm so cool with it, I don't want to fool with it. So, good stuff, bro. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. All right. So, any other questions or comments this morning? *2 on your phone. Last call, 4 questions or comments. *2 on your phone. Anybody online saying anything? They're just online. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad y'all are all here. The recording is the link in the Facebook group. It will be live at 8:31 this morning. Or if you want to watch the Facebook Live, now the Facebook Live will be in the archives. So how cool is that? So I appreciate each and every one of you. Leave comments under the Bible study what you got out of it. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Like your biggest takeaway. I'm going to ask all of you who are on the phone and all of you on Facebook today to go to the post on Facebook and leave a comment for the biggest takeaway from today's Bible study. God bless you. I appreciate each and every one of you being on the call this morning. Have a fantastic day and a fantastic week. And let God bless your mess. That's what I'm talking about. Have a great day.